So we're just live in the truck. Thought it'd be a fun, what is it, Wednesday? It's been maybe an hour doing this. Got my little coffee pot going. It's not happy. Oh, you're not supposed to be doing that. But yeah, just thought I'd do a live tonight and just see what's going on and tell you guys what we're planning here in the future. Oh, yeah, that's not good. So just kind of an impromptu tonight. Got video coming out tomorrow. Got another one in the can, and I'm working on another one right now. So hopefully, get some stuff going. Got to head to Mississippi again tomorrow. It's going to be minus 17. Dude, if you hit me, we're gonna have a problem. It's going to be minus 17 tomorrow morning. So I gotta go play in that. Coffee pot sizzling. So we gotta miss that snowstorm. I went between the storms, and that one hit last night on my reset. Got a few things in the can right now. Getting ready to work on some kind of new videos. I notice I get a little long-winded, trust me. I'm very well aware of that. We're going to try to start shortening them back down to about between 15 and 20 minutes. I think people seem to like those better, and I kind of do too. A lot of these videos, like I got one coming out, it's going to be probably one of the longer ones I've done. It's 38 minutes, and it was over 3 days, and it was a lot of driving from basically Nebraska to North Carolina, and we just working on that one right now. So that was a little tough. Trying to scale it down to something. There was so much cool stuff to see and do on that trip, even though the load itself was kind of the trip itself was really good. I did enjoy it. In fact, I ended up down there in Tar Heel picking up, and I had to sit there for a break because they didn't have my load ready like they said they did. And it was 80 degrees. I actually had the truck turned off and the windows all opened up and aired the whole thing out. It was really nice. Hoping to do some more truck content here soon. Decided not to go on Power Tour this year, but hopefully I got some other stuff we're going to do this summer. I can do some day trips and stuff like that. I enjoy doing day trips. Just fun to get out of the house and see things. I live just north of the Oklahoma line, out in the middle of nowhere, a little town out in the middle of nowhere. So when I'm home, I'll run down to Oklahoma City, or not so much Tulsa. I don't want to end up on the first 48. But thinking about heading out to Joplin, which is about 4 hours from me, and maybe checking out 4 states. It's there's a lot near me, so just need to get busy doing that. A lot of the automotive content, like it's winter time, so a lot of it stopped. And truthfully, I just haven't had much time. I got the Oldsmobile out while I was home and finally got that fixed. Kind of. But boy, that car's just tired. The car's really tired. So you got to figure out what I'm doing there. Very seriously considering looking for a truck here in the spring. This truck is turning into just a gap truck, or a bridge truck, if you will. It's a good truck, but I kind of want something that is a little more me, or is a little more, I don't know, something I can bond with, I guess. But, so, I mean, we got all sorts of questions going on. You got a question or a comment or an insult or whatever, I'm sure I'll laugh at it if it's an insult. I'll sit there and I talk to quite a few of these other YouTubers. It's amazing how a lot of these people will find you out, or you'll just run into people, and you know, and it's a fascinating community out here. You know, I've been doing this, going on 6 years now, and it's a neat community. It's not that big. Most people wash out after the first year, it seems like, and this is really kind of a long-term thing. But if you can really get it going, yeah, you can do a lot. See, on my way down to North Carolina, I ran into Martin from Trucking Together, and spent about an hour with him. We're friends on Facebook, and you know, we got each other's numbers and all that, but I'd never met him in person, and so I got to meet him, and he was a really nice guy. They do some pretty good videos. I do enjoy their content. That guy from Trucking Resources, he's hit and miss. He does some really good stuff, but I know he's always really busy, so he might not put something out for a week or two, but then he'll put 3 or 4 good ones out, so I enjoy that. I was trying to work on some old truck stop videos, and truthfully, there's just not a lot there. Just not a whole lot, which is sad. You know, I go up into some of these old 76s that are now TAs, like over there in Matthews, or over there in was that Denmark, Tennessee, or Bloomington, and I try to take pictures, and I try to get film strip, and I sneak around, and it's really weird. It's just, you can't find a lot of stuff online, pictures and history and stuff about them. Hey there. But you just can't find a lot of stuff online about them, and so I take all the videos, but I got some decent footage, but usually they're 9 or 10 minutes, and I can't really find a lot of historical stuff to mix in there. So, you know, I got 2 or 3 of them that I've just never finished, just because I can't just find the material to finish them, which is sad. I'm trying, but we'll just have to wait and see how that works out. It's like I said, I just did my tax video. I might try to do that every year, just talking about just my expenses. This year I didn't break it down as much as I did the previous year, so some of the numbers look a little skewed, maybe a little bigger. But if you would have taken the last couple of years and just added them together like I did, the numbers were pretty much on par of what I was doing. I got a friend of mine who's getting ready to order a brand new truck, so I'm going to pay attention to that process and see what happens there. I just can't pull the trigger on a new truck. You know, between ordering it, the amount of money they want, and then, you know, the absolute just sheer amount of excise tax with it, you know, is ridiculous. So hopefully I'm going to start looking for something about 2 years old, 2 maybe 3 years old, with hopefully no more than about 300,000 on it. I've got a weird idea. I'd love to find another hood, but I can't find one with a short frame. Most of them coming out are 280 inches and all that, and you know, for the most part those are fine, but some of the places we go, I have a hard time getting in with this thing with the setback front axle and all of that. So as funny as it sounds, I'm actually looking for a. I was checking this out the other day. I found a Canadian spec 389, and you know, they by law they have shorter frames and all that, and I was like, this, for what I'm doing, this might not be a bad idea. So it was a really pretty truck. It just looked a little stumpy, but I don't know if I'd want to go and get one with a Canadian spread. I'd probably throw the DOT off, but it would be funny. I'm also thinking about a 579. Those are I don't think that, well, the guy asked here, he says, how do you think these tariffs are going to hit? I don't think they're going to be, they weren't bad the last time. Really don't want to get too far into it. But basically what it is balanced trade. For every dollar that goes out, you bring a dollar in, and if you balance the trade like that, there's not going to be any real tariffs. I think a lot of people will probably use that as a money grab, but the last time they did it, and truthfully, they were doing this up until the NAFTA agreement, and just like the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, the NAFTA was basically designed to bust the unions and basically send all the jobs across the southern border. So, I mean, this is all I'm going to say about that. The companies that these foreign companies, these aren't foreign companies, these are American companies that are making American goods on foreign soil with foreign contractors. So if you really look into it, that's a lot of what it is. I think I'll just leave that there. What was that next question here? Oh, guys, I was going to do Uber with a brand new Rolls Royce, but won't make enough money, so I'm going to do Uber with a 5-year-old used Rolls Royce. Going to have a dealer repair. Should be okay. What do you think? Well, they're part of the Volkswagen Group now. For a 5-year, it depends what kind of Rolls you want. If it's more of the like the Bentley Continental kind of stuff, good luck. If it's going to be like a regular Rolls luxury brand, I mean, do you really want to turn that into a taxi? Of course, I think Uber will only let you have a car, 10 years old, and there's certain cars they won't allow. I was going to use my Crown Vic to do Lyft and Uber, and they won't let me because no former police cars and no fleet cars. And I think they do that to keep taxi cabs from getting rides on Uber. Because taxi cab companies would start poaching Uber drivers and Lyft customers. So, but I thought it'd be fun to do when I used to live outside of Baltimore, a lot of the taxi cabs were old Uber with a Rolls Royce. A lot of the taxi cabs were old police cars, and they would leave the cages up in them, so we couldn't rob them. We'd put 4 or 5 of us in the back. That was a mess. One guy, he took us back up to the north side, just north of White Marsh there in Edgewood, where I was living at the time. And he didn't want to pay the money to go through the tunnel, so he literally drove the long way all the way around Baltimore so we wouldn't have to do the tunnel. Yeah. So it was ridiculous. So we've been just freight's been a little spotty lately, but we've been doing all right here. Just kind of having to I haul a lot of contract freight, thankfully, but I've been doing a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally do, but the money's been there, so just kind of have to stick with it. Yeah, I'm up here in Sioux Falls. It's going to be, like I said, minus 17 tomorrow when I wake up. The ambient temperature, I had to dig my coveralls out and all of that, so that's going to be great. When it starts getting that cold, that's when things start breaking. So I'm not really looking forward to that. But I'm sitting here doing a reset, and truthfully, if I didn't have to do the reset, I would have already left. Yeah, I would have already left, but it is what it is. I only had 4 hours and 56 minutes for today, so that's what happens. I mean, we've been working, so I made it up here, and they turned around, and I had to book it to North Carolina, and that was pretty rough. So, but it turned out to be a good load. It paid really well, and then the load coming back was fair, but I got it up there in record time. It was a dropping. Well, it was supposed to be a dropping hook on both ends, but they ended up screwing it up on the front end. But on the back end, I was there at the customer for 15 minutes, and went up to just south of Green Bay, picked up and boogied on out. So other than that, I mean, just things have been just humming along here. Hopefully things have been humming along for you guys. Not a whole lot new. I mean, this has been a really mediocre winter so far, especially after Christmas, but things are starting to actually really, things are starting to flatline like we knew they would. It's been an election year. It went the way nobody was predicting it to go this way. But so a lot of guys are readjusting their figures and refiguring a few things, and freight's starting to things are starting to level out, and I got a feeling about the next 6 or 8 months is going to be a little rough, but I think once the economy starts really steamrolling ahead, it's gonna take off like a rocket. What I'm predicting right now, though, is within the next year, I'm hoping the truck prices just collapse. That way I can afford to buy one. And the guys that really want to get into it, maybe they can actually afford to do it. So that's what I'm hoping. There's still a lot of money out here, a lot more than people think. You got to go find it. But there's still a lot of people that are willing to do things on the cheap, and we keep waiting for those guys to wash out, but for every bottom feeder that washes out, there's 2 more guys willing to drive that Amazon truck into a wall. So, but so hopefully we'll see what this next year brings for sure. I'm feeling really optimistic about it, honestly. I think it's going to be good. So I'm really excited to see what this year brings. Uh, hopefully, a little more. No, I'm reading all your comments. I'm just letting you two guys flame each other and go back and forth. Because obviously you guys are having a moment, and you know that's nice that you can make a friend. I'm glad I could bring people together. But yeah, they got two guys going back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of funny. But truckers and farmers are not treated fair. Well, the problem is that the guys that make trucking bills versus the guys that do all the farm aid and farm packages and all that, the major voting blocks are in the city. These people don't know anything about farming. They don't care. They go to the grocery store. That's where their knowledge of farming begins and ends, in the frozen food aisle at Whole Foods. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of neat stuff at Whole Foods that you can't buy anywhere else. However, most of it is a scam. I have set you ought to read the Grapes of Wrath or some John Steinbeck. It's really interesting stuff. But the I've delivered in grocery warehouses all over the country, and it doesn't matter whether it's been Aldi's. I like this stuff. I go to the store and get a little of this chocolate coffee, mate. Whether you're delivering to Aldi's or whether you're delivering at Kroger's, it quite all literally comes out of the same place. I have had people that will fight me about this. Aldi's gets all their distribution and everything done through SuperValu, which is UNFI, I guess now. But if you look at a Aldi's trailer, it'll all say SuperValu on the front of it. It's just, we're getting scammed out here, really. It's just the way it is. Just like the meat you buy at the grocery store, it all comes from basically one of three, possibly four places. I've talked about this before, but it's really kind of counterproductive, because just like, you know, when people are like, oh, I get my meat at the butcher, unless you brought that cow in and raised it, you are getting the same meat that everybody else gets. They just buy the cows from the same yards. Or here's the thing, your local butcher isn't going to kill an entire cow and grind up 900 pounds of hamburger to sell you 4 ribeyes. So what they end up doing is just buying the chunks. They'll buy the whole short loins, they'll buy the tenderloins, they'll buy the ribs, they'll buy chunks that are already prepackaged, boxed up, ready to go. Tyson, IBP, go behind any of your local butcher shop and dig through his trash can for trash day. He didn't get all those Tyson and IBP boxes for free. Things came in those. So, he does the finished processing, but it's the same cow that you would have got at the Kroger's. It's not any fresher, I'll tell you that. So, I like local butchers. Well, most of them. The guy I used to work for is a crook. Still a crook. I don't understand why he's still in business. But, unless you actually do all the raising and harvesting and stuff yourself, it's almost not worth it. So yeah, it's just almost not worth it. I got a little jaded being a butcher. That's what I did when I got out of the Army. I became a custom cutter at a private butcher shop, and really, it's a real scam. Then I went back and tried to do aircraft, and no. Ended up being a truck driver. Don't know how that happened. I was only going to do it a year, and I just haven't decided which year it was going to be. I drove my first truck in '96. Wow, that was a long time ago. No, it was '95. Yeah, '95. But yeah, so we had these weird old Vietnam style era semis there in the Army, and that's what I actually learned on. It was they were clattery. So anybody else got any questions? Or ain't got no panties on. Yeah, I need to do a I need to get my CB all done up in the truck with the new antennas and coax and stuff like that. I can actually get out. The guy I bought my old truck from, he was kind of cussing me out the other day because he has my old setup in there, and he's like, it works a little too well. He says I pick up everything. I was like, well, that's what it's designed to do. As for cutting up the larger pieces of meat, that's why most of these guys do it on a bandsaw. Just makes it easier. I mean, yeah, they just take the short line out, put it where they want, and just start pushing it through and cut out inch steaks. Zip, zip, zip. So anyhow, so I've been thinking about new video ideas and stuff like that of what I'm going to do here soon. I've talked about the business to death. I'd like to get more into some historical stuff. I just don't really have the time. Any new CB radios? I actually do have one that I want to get working here soon. Is it here? Oh, here it is. I'm working on this one right now. This is a Stryker SR 4400 HP. I need to check and make sure the mic is wired right. Guys keep saying, oh, it just takes a regular Cobra mic, but I'm not sure. I got to check that out. If not, I got to rewire a mic to work on it. I bought this at a pawn shop for like $50. So it lights up and does everything it's supposed to. I just can't get it to key up. So yeah, this will be my next project here. All the guys I used to go to get all my CB work done, they're all gone. I mean, and I had some good guys. There's a couple down in New Mexico and whatnot, and I think one down in Arizona and one in Florida still. I could probably mail it too. I'm thinking about doing that, just having it mailed and just have it mailed back, really. So, I mean, yeah, that's about all you can do anymore is just, so, yeah. CBs are fun. It's just, there's not a whole lot of people on them anymore. So when you get so you can sit there and have these really big setups, and I've got probably half a dozen to a dozen of these huge radio setups, lanyards. I got all sorts of stuff at the house, and they're just nobody's playing with them anymore like they used to. Well, it's just kind of sad. I mean, used to have a lot of fun with these. and it's just kind of a thing of the past now. I haven't been to Joplin in a while. I was thinking about driving down there. It's about 3.5, 4 hours from my house, and that'd be a good weekend trip. Used to be that guy in Oklahoma City, the old Monkey Made guy, and man, that dude could fine tune a radio like nobody's business. I mean, I've still got 2 or 3 radios that he did, and they're phenomenal. His son, when he retired, his son took over, and then it immediately went out of business because apparently his son just wasn't him, and he wasn't doing the job that he was doing. And I had one radio done by him, and I just basically, the only way I could wreck it further was take it to Walcott. So yeah, so I'm just waiting for the opportunity. If I get back down to a Cartersville, cool. If I get down to Cartersville, they got a CB guy in there that I've worked with before. I just haven't been to Cartersville in 6 months to a year now. It just seems like just not going that way anymore. Haven't been that way in a while. I do know if I can get down there on I-20, I think across 20 there, when you get into Georgia and all that, there's a few guys down that way. I just haven't been that way either. That canyon washed out there on I-40, so I don't get down there through Knoxville like I used to. When I'm going down to the Carolinas and all that, I'm just taking the old route, going through Ohio, or down there across 64 into West Virginia or something like that. There's really not a whole lot of good ways. Going to South Carolina, I'll go down to 20 and come back up. It's really hardly any miles out. But if I'm going to North Carolina, going that way is too far south. So basically, you just come out of Indy and go to Dayton, and then just take 35 down to 64, and then into, was that Wheeling? Yeah. No, there's not a whole lot of people on the CB anymore, which, like I said, is kind of sad. It's a dying art. It was a lot of fun back in the day, and you could really do a lot of neat stuff with it, but people just ain't on it anymore. Wish they would. It would. If people are still on the CB and you had good radios in these trucks, you could actually just put a shout out during bad weather and all that. I mean, that's kind of what they're for. But so many of these drivers just don't even have them, and they don't want to spend the money on them. They don't have them. Don't put them in. And they're the ones that are getting piled up, or they're the ones that can't call for help, or they're the ones that, like a guy saw I remember a guy telling me he's in Wyoming, saw a FedEx driver eat it into the ditch, gets on the radio and starts yelling at him to stop, slow down. 3 FedEx drivers, not one of them had a radio, and one just slid into the ditch after the other about 2 minutes apart. So yeah, you could have got online and basically warned them, but there was no way. It's an antiquated piece of equipment, but it still has a lot of use. So well, I mean, any other questions going on? I mean, we've been at this, 35 minutes now. I've been just chilling out, just relaxing. Oh, I still listen to AM a lot. especially late at night, you can still get with the Clear Channel stations. You can still get WSM out of Nashville, listen to the Grand Ole Opry. Actually, with iHeartRadio, you can listen to AM stations all over the country now. So I do that. Like if I want to listen to George Norrie, I get on iHeart and I can listen to 640 KFI out of California and out of Los Angeles, and clear as a bell. So I do that. Back when the Bob and Tom show was going, I'd listen to it out of 94.7 out of Indy on iHeart, or the John Boy and Billy out of Charlotte is on iHeart too. But our local AM old time country station is on iHeart, and it's 1070 KFDI. They're out of Wichita, and I listen to them on iHeart a lot. So that's mainly because when I get home, that's the only radio that doesn't irritate me, because all the radio now is basically the same 4 songs on FM and used car ads. Asked my dad what FM was when he was a kid, because everybody, when he was a kid, listened to AM. And he said FM was just elevator music when he was a kid. Although that was kind of funny. We had, used to listen to, I'm old enough that me and my dad had one thing in common with AM radio. We both used to listen to the Wolfman on AM, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll be busting through Omaha tomorrow. Not sure what time, but I'll be busting through there tomorrow on my way to Mississippi. Casey Kasem, I tell you, I used to listen to him when I was a kid. He had the top 40 every Sunday, usually between him and Rick Dees. They had their own 2 shows. That was the one that used to have a lot of overnight syndicated shows, and the country one I really liked was Up All Night with Blair Garner. I kind of missed that. And the other one, like the Truck and Bozo, used to listen to them on the Clear Channel. And Dave Nemo was actually my favorite. But I had you could listen to them on XM radio for years, but I kind of got to the point where I realized the only thing I was listening to on XM I could listen to for free on YouTube, and that's just what I ended up doing. So I ended up not renewing it the last time. I think about getting it back, but I'm just not even missing it. There's so much stuff you can stream now for free, from audiobooks to old-time radio shows to... You wouldn't believe the amount of TV out here that you can watch for free. I need to get a TV for my mount. Thinking about getting a little 22-inch smart TV. That way I can just... well, XM had a lot of different shows. YouTube Music and XM are... They're kind of the same, but they're different. You had like 85, 90 channels on XM radio of literally just everything. But as time went on, they got rid of a lot of stuff like book radio. I enjoyed that. You could listen to stories. You could listen to classic novels. You could listen to this stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And then you could pick a genre that you really like to, and just completely ad free. Old time radio shows, I really enjoyed that. They had a lot of sports. I've never been a sports guy. Had NASCAR. What I used to get a crack of was they actually used to syndicate television shows, and they would just play the audio. But even with the audio, there was still a lot to do. So I always enjoyed that. So, but XM, if you buy it a year at a time, it's actually KOA. My dad used to listen to KOA when we lived in Denver because that's what they were out of. What's funny is I couldn't get KOA in Utah, but I can get it outside of Los Angeles. It's a weird deal. I can get it there in Kansas still. Was that 850 KOA, I believe? Yeah, you used to wake up in the mornings there in Denver, and my dad would have KOA on, listening to the weather and the news and the traffic before he went to work. XM, if you buy the whole year or you buy a couple years in advance, you get it down to $4.95 a month. The only thing I really hated about that was all their call centers were overseas, so you were always dealing with someone who had a very stunted grasp of the English language. It was actually really tough quite a bit. So, who's that? No. Another company driver. What was that? Oops. Oh man, I would listen to Dr. Demento quite a bit. Well, that's why I don't park at Walmart's, just because it's just not worth it. These people, and a lot of these boot companies are all gypsy companies. They're not even real tow companies. They're just parking enforcement. And truthfully, if you're at a Walmart, go inside, buy yourself for $100, buy yourself a angle grinder and cut the thing off and leave. I mean, you're at Walmart. But anyhow, yeah, I'm not familiar with Rick Barber. I haven't listened to it in years. And of course, when we were listening to it, it was the late '70s, early '80s. We left Denver in 1983. Moved out to Kansas. That's where my dad's from. So, but nah. They had yeah, that's part of why I just don't park. A lot of my friends will laugh at me about where I park and where I won't. And there's just so many places I just won't park anymore because there's so many people doing stupid stuff. I don't take a semi truck. But like in Baraboo, Wisconsin, there's been a local cop there that just sits there and waits for our trucks to cross the road to go to Walmart, so he can pull us over and write us tickets. And just some local prick, you know. But it is what it is, and that's why, if I can't walk to it anymore, I just don't go, because and truthfully, with Uber and Lyft and all that, you could actually it's affordable. You could actually have them pick you up at the truck stop, take you to the Walmart. You could buy your stuff and then get an Uber back. You might have to wait 5 or 10 minutes, but get your stuff and you just sit there and wait and go get in, and hey, you're good to go. Hey, no problem. I always enjoy old AM radio. I know my mom lived in Denver till 96, Back in '91, I went to Lollapalooza. That was interesting. Out at Fiddler's Green out there in Denver. that was a fun time. Had a lot of fun out there. Uh, Saw a Pink Floyd laser show out there at the planetarium too. Had a lot of fun in Denver in the '80s and early '90s. Probably more fun than I should have, honestly. That's how I ended up waking up with a tattoo. Anyhow, so, well, I suppose if nobody's got any more questions, I'm gonna sit here and wrap it up. So we got a video coming out tomorrow. I got one loaded up that I usually make the videos and then I sit there and once I go through and edit them all, I load them up on YouTube and then I watch them on YouTube to make sure they're all good, and then I schedule them. So one of these days I'm going to have to do a video on just actually doing a YouTube video. It is actually, to do the craptacular job that I do, it is actually really, it's a lot of work. It actually is. And you wouldn't think it looking at some of these videos, but some of these people put a lot of time and money into it. The editing is just maddening. Lots of expensive software, editing tools, computers, cameras. I've used probably half a dozen to a dozen cameras. I need to get another computer one of these days so I can actually, this Canon right here that I've showed before, this Canon here will actually shoot video. I just haven't had a computer that's good enough to process the video. I mean, this thing shoots beautiful video, but it also shoots wonderful pictures too. So I keep saying that I'm going to step up my game, but honestly, I'm a little cheaper than I like to admit. So I found my old camera the other day. I need to get some adapters, so I got some of those big SD cards. I find some computer to plug it in so I get some of these old photos and videos I have that are probably 10 and 15 years old. I mean, got some great stuff there that I just have no access to at the moment. And I'd love to get them out because I took pictures of a lot of stuff that I realize just ain't there anymore. So the algorithm is a real crapshoot on YouTube. It's interesting. Just when you think you got it figured out, it flips. So I just do what I do, and I hope for the best. I try not to be too clickbaitish because you kind of have to, but you kind of have to find that balance between what's doing good and what's not. You know what's weird? When I get to 10K, I never even thought I'd get to 5K. The first 2 or 3 years, I was just maybe 150, 200 people. The day I hit 500, I was to the moon. I thought that was neat. And now that I'm at 5,000, going towards 6, that's crazy. And so it's YouTube is a fascinating journey, but it takes a lot of dedication. Like I said, I put a video out every 6 days. I've never missed a week. Every 6 days for the last 6 years now, and it's just there's a part of you that almost has to be a machine. It's weird. Some of the videos I think that aren't going to be good end up hitting a home run, and some of the videos that I put my heart, soul, and time into end up getting 12 views. So I just take the advice of what the YouTube Creators Channel said, is that if you got it, just put it out. Only you let the audience decide, and sometimes they decide. The funniest thing, though, is I put out these videos, like one of my most popular ones was how to clean a catalytic converter. And me and my buddy that works at Cummins, we talked at length about this, about how to kind of figure it up, and no, I don't. I spent my early 20s and mid 30s around drunk people and drank a lot myself, and I don't do too much with that anymore. But yeah, it's these videos have just been they've been fascinating to make. Like I said, I haven't missed a week, just because, well, I like to be disciplined in what I do there, just because I don't want to start missing weeks. And after a while, you have a tendency to start drifting off and losing interest. And once you lose interest, it's really hard to get that interest back. And I'm not being monetized for any of this. I'm hoping that will come soon. But whether it does or whether it doesn't, I'm not really that concerned about it right now. I just enjoy doing it for now. So the internet is the gift that keeps on giving. I sit there and well, what I was saying about my videos is like that one about the cleaning catalytic converter. I actually did some real research on this and talked to some real people about filters and cats, and about possibly cleaning them. And the interesting thing about that is if the catalytic converter isn't physically broken, you can clean it out once, maybe twice. But truthfully, after that, you really ought to look into either getting, if you're trashing a cat like that, you either need to get the catalytic converter replaced because you put too many miles on it, or you have more wrong with your vehicle than you're willing to admit. But I sit there and I go through all this, and I go through the steps and why I do this and why I do this. And I know half of these people that comment don't even watch the whole video, because they're sitting there commenting and railing about something that I say at the end of the video. I still have my first hater comment. You're gonna laugh, I actually screenshotted it and saved it, because it made me laugh so hard that I may one of these days just put it on photo paper and frame it. And it was about me spot painting my Crown Vic. That came out like hammered crap, and I told them at the beginning it was going to be hammered crap. And at the end of the video, I said, this is not the way you do it. Truthfully, you do this, 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 and this. Dude, I made some guy so mad. He just flamed me. And it was the funniest thing I'd read in a long time. And my first true comment full of hate. And I was like, I might be onto something here. So I'm surprised I haven't been flamed more for talking crap about lease programs. But I truly yeah, it's been popping this last year, which is neat. No, it wasn't him. It's just I enjoy it, and I really don't. There's very, very few comments that have ever gotten under my skin, if any. There's certain, like I said, there's certain abuse I won't take. When I started this channel, and I talked to some other YouTubers about this, when I started this channel, I was just going to let the comments fly. It is what it is. Say whatever you want. I really don't care. And then as my videos started getting more traction and my videos started being watched, and basically about 90% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. So it's just people passing by. And some of these people just leave the most awful reviews that I've ever seen. I mean, just unwarranted, unfounded, you're reading going, wow, this person really has daddy issues. or their mom was a stripper, and we could go either way with that. They don't know who their daddy issues is. But I talked to one of these other YouTubers, and I said, I'm going to have to do something I don't want to do. I said, I'm getting to the size to where I'm going to have to start, moderating. And I didn't really want to do that, but it's a sad reality of it that people, oh yeah. And that guy that just commented, he's been with me from literally the beginning, and he's like was like my 10th or 12th subscriber. That's not even a joke. He's been there from almost day one. Yeah, I literally just laugh, but I had to start moderating it because some of this stuff was really just, there's certain, I'll put up with any abuse, but there's certain abuse when you start insulting the people around me, or you start saying, there's certain lines that socially you shouldn't cross, and some of those get deleted. There's been only one guy that I've actually banned off this channel, and it was just, he went above and beyond, and I was like, we just can't have this here. And it wasn't because I was trying to be mean to him or anything like that. It's just these comments are in a public forum and people are reading this, and nobody needed to read what he wrote. And it was truly uncalled for. I talked to one of the other YouTubers, and she was telling me that she actually puts in keywords to where if these keywords pop up and they start, in this sequence, or these keywords pop up like this, it automatically just dumps the comment because, she's a entrepreneur, she's a truck driver, and she does very well doing out here, and her and her husband do very well, and they're not going to put up with it, and they shouldn't have to. So they had to start putting filters in because they were like me. They didn't want to moderate either, but it kind of had to start happening that way when you start getting to a certain level. It's kind of sad that people just can't be decent on their own, but hey, whatever. Well, I suppose I'm going to wrap it up. Any last questions? We got 2 more minutes before we hit an hour, and I think I'm going to shut it off in an hour. So, yeah, I think the coffee may have kicked in. I brought a bag of Black Rifle coffee with me for my coffee pot. So, here's the thing. If I'm going to drink coffee in my truck, it's going to be good coffee. Believe it or not, Pilot coffee is actually, if you buy the pound of that, it's really affordable, and it's actually pretty good. Surprisingly good for what it is. Never thought I'd be buying cheap coffee in a truck stop, but it's like $7.99 a pound, so it's worth it. So anyhow, we're gonna wrap up here. Me and my check engine light, which is glowing. It was off. It came back a couple days later. It just does that. I know I'm probably going to be due for a little bit of maintenance on the emission system, but it's just part of the deal. If I was home all the time and I had a local shop and I was doing in and out, back and forth, and I had a local shop to deal with, deleting a truck wouldn't bother me, but the fact I go all over the country and I have to work with the dealer network, deleting a truck is just, people are so flaky about it that I just can't take the risk right now with it. And then when you go to trade it in, if they find it's deleted, that half of them are going to give you $5,000 just for that, and it'll end up getting parted out, or going to auction. There's guys that'll buy them, but This truck's worth more than $5,000. When I go to sell it or trade it in, hopefully here in a few months, by next spring, certainly is the plan. No later than that. I should get my money back out of it. It's actually a really good truck. Being a Cummins and a manual, there's a line of guys that still want them, so we'll have to find out. Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, we just hit an hour, so I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate everybody that chimed in and everybody that was a part of this tonight. I really do appreciate it. You know, I like interacting, and truthfully, I should have advertised that I was going to, you know, put out a notice that it was coming up, but it's just kind of impromptu. So I appreciate it, guys. You guys be safe. I'm going to shut this down, do a little bit of editing, and we're going to take off tomorrow, and I don't know. I think we'll maybe shoot a video tomorrow, too. So I appreciate it, guys. You guys be safe out there. Stay warm. It is cold up here. It's going to be, like I said, negative 17 in the morning when I get up and get ready to go. So that's when things break. So you guys be safe, and we'll see you next time around.